this is a big thesis point for banking on change, which will be coming out in April. It is the role of education. And we do know from our industry research that around 78% of financial brand leaders across different business lines and different layers, they only spend 1 to 2 hours per week, if not less. And around, it's the 45%, it's less than 1 to 2 hours on learning, on gaining new perspective, on gaining new insight. And when we measure that against our third-party research, the third party is saying, no. You got to spend at least, and spend's not the right word, invest at least 5 hours per week in ongoing learning and development in a world that is full of exponential change and transformation. And so there's the behavior aspect of this. Now, the good news is marketing has the potential to influence the behavior internally and reposition the role of marketing, not just as a glorified in-house Kinko's, but as a strategic asset that is also an educator to help provide perspective, which is the sum of context and framing, to others within the organization. And so even if you were to do like a weekly digest, here's what I learned this week. Here's what I read. Here are the 3 things that you need to know out of this. You're providing others with perspective to whether or not they go and read the full article, listen to the full podcast, that's up to them. But you're synthesizing and distilling it down. And there's a framework for this in banking on change. I call it IDEAS, IDEAS. See, acronyms run rampant in digital growthopia because it's the only way this ADD mind remembers things with word association. So ideas, insights. Here's the 3 things you need to know from 2 resources. But let me take ideas. Insights. You could pull 3, 5, or 10 insights depending upon the depth of what it was that you learned from. So maybe it's an article. You pull 3 insights out of that. The D is you decide what's the number 1 insight. Out of that, you go to the E, which is to expand. Expand upon that number 1 insight. Provide some more perspective that is unique to your organization. Why is this important? What do we need to know from this? What can we decipher from this? And then you have the A. What's the action that we can take? When you're starting to say, here's an action that we can take from this insight, it's not we're just learning for learning's sake. It's that we're always taking some type of action going forward. And then the S is the share. Who do I need to share this with internally? So you're using essentially a very small filter, 3 insights. You decide upon the top 1. You expand that out as to why this is important for your organization, your team. What action are we going to take? And then who do I need to share this with internally? And if you do that every single week at the end of 52 weeks, I mean, you've got a really good, and document this too. I mean, I think if you just keep a running Google Doc, at the end of 52 weeks, you're going to come back and say, oh my goodness, look at how much not I learned, but also how much we shared and how much action that we were able to take off because of this ongoing activity of learning. So that's step 1. Help people continuously see things from a different perspective. Then they're going to think different, and you see different and you think different. And whenever I ask executive, what happens when you see different and you think different? Well, I'm going to act different. I'm going to be different. I'm going to do different. No. It's the feeling piece. And that's why change and transformation is so hard, particularly when you're dealing with human capital. It's because the feeling has to be greater than the desire to remain the same.